have strong roots in Australia, many generations here, yet someone could literally come on a boat, not be able to speak my language, not understand my culture, not understand the religion here, not understand anything about this place, and as soon as they arrive here, they are equal to me. This is what a utopian society is, this is what egalitarian society is, and this is why we have tall poppy syndrome. People misinterpret it as, oh, I'm getting rich and I'm getting superior to everybody else, so they want to take me down. Well, if you think that you're better than everybody else, our society will take you down because you are against what a utopian society is, and an egalitarian society. If you look at some of the biggest economies around the world, they have a ruling class and they have a massive poor class, and they don't have a middle class. Australia's biggest class is the middle class because we are an egalitarian society. It's a fair, equal society.
Ooh.
Why do we have it? Well, Australia does not have control over its destiny. We are an isolated country and we have to rely on world powers to secure for our security. A lot of people don't understand that, but we do rely on superpowers for our security. Now, in the past, this tall poppy syndrome came from World War I, where we were relying on the British to secure our security. The way that we would return the favour for our security is we will support British in any war that they involve themselves in. So what they did was, in World War I, we had to support them and attack Gallipoli, which is in Turkey. It had nothing to do with Australia, but we had to attack and send all of our troops to Gallipoli in the interests of Australia to secure our friendship with Britain. There's no such thing as friends, relatives, cultural, religion between countries. No two countries are brothers or sisters or relatives forever. We have to exchange something to the British for them to support us. There's no such thing as, oh, we're a British colony, therefore they're going to support us forever. That's not how the real world works. People don't understand that sometimes, but that's not how the real world works, people.
No.
We sent all of our troops to Gallipoli, back to Gallipoli. Our Australian men, and they told them to dig trenches, and then they told them to run at machine guns, and they all got mowed down. A lot of them were just killed in cold blood. Some of them didn't even have bullets in their guns. Some of them, all they had, some of them didn't even have guns, and some of them would just have a bayonet at the end of the gun, and they were running at machine guns. And even the Turkish soldiers said that they felt sorry for us because we were just getting mowed down, and we were at the whim not only of the Turkish but of the British commanders who just sent these Australian soldiers to their deaths. Now, this is where the skepticism and the fear, it's fear of the ruling classes having an upper class that rules the rest of us. We are scared of people dominating us, and the effect of that happened in Gallipoli. So from now on, we do not trust authority. We're skeptical of authority, and so we have built, as a result of that, a defense mechanism called tall poppy syndrome, because we don't want an upper class ruling everybody, because in the back of our minds, the back of the Australian mindset is we fear that when someone has too much power, they'll send us to our deaths.
Ooh.
They will take all of our money, they'll take our homes, and they're not going to be fair. If you look at the Australian anthem, it is called Advance Australia Fair. We have this system here called a fair go, which is tied into tall poppy syndrome. Now, there is a massive misconception about tall poppy syndrome. People think that when you become rich, you become successful, you become a boss, you get a nice car. We're not against that. We actually support that in Australia. There is so many rich people in Australia. Australia is one of the richest countries on earth. You see, if you become so rich and you walk past the poor person and you ridicule the poor person, or you kick the poor person, or you treat them badly, the rest of society will step in. Ooh. With great power comes great responsibility. I think that's Spider-Man talking, but it's also the way Australia's society is. If you get to the top and then you start stealing from the lower classes, you don't pay your taxes, you don't look after the poor, you don't pay, you don't donate to charities, you don't look after the lower classes, and you get to the top and you become like a dictator and you steal from the lower classes, that's when tall poppy syndrome kicks in, and the rest of us want to take you down, because we live in a utopian, egalitarian, fair society. And if we have too many people going to the top of our society, the classes will become segregated and it will not be fair anymore. Because if you look at British society, you look at Russian society, the oligarchs, you got the old money in Britain, it is almost impossible for a poor person to reach the top. No matter how hard they work, no matter what they do. Australia is a fair society where if you work hard, you can get to the top, and we support the underdog. The whole underdog mentality of Australians is you can be poor as hell. You can come on a boat to Australia, have nothing, and become one of the richest Australians when you arrive. And we all support that. But if you become powerful and rich and you steal from the lower classes, which happens all over the world, come on people, let's be honest here, all over the world people become rich and powerful and they steal, they become dictators. That's tall poppy syndrome. Tall poppy syndrome is good. It is good for all societies. And let's just look at some of the dictators all around the world. They would not be able to get to the top in Australia because this society would not allow it.
Shh. No. Yes!
That's why Australia is the most livable country on earth. A utopian society. I think I've had my piece. Now this guy is an example of the result of tall poppy syndrome. You see he's dressed in a collared shirt, just some basic shoes. He doesn't really look too fancy at all. But I just overheard him talking about how much money his company was losing a month. Losing $1 million a month, but that is still a lot of money, which means that this guy must be really rich, but he doesn't dress that way. I think that is a result of tall poppy syndrome for you guys out there. He doesn't want to dress up and look as if he's better than everybody else. He just wants to fit in with the crowd. But clearly the guy is more wealthy than most people around the place. That's a prime example of what tall poppy syndrome is. Okay, so I'm going to quickly react to this video that I found online. There's a lot of misconceptions about tall poppy syndrome. Let's just get on with it.
Does it still affect Australians today?
Cultural connotations, they call the channel.
What is the tall poppy syndrome? Some of you may be familiar.
Firstly, it's not the tall poppy syndrome, it's just tall poppy syndrome. Minor correction, but there's a lot of major ones to come.
Immigrant parents. For myself, culture itself stems from my parents, who are originally from Malaysia.
Malaysian parents?
My parents are originally from Mauritius.
And Mauritius parents. I gotta say that I respect immigrant parents so much because they work so hard to get out of a poor situation and give their children like these two a better life for themselves. Convicts were jealous. It's not jealousy, it's the fact that authorities would actually steal and kill us. Jealousy?
They also, whenever they see someone successful, they feel that they want to cut them down because
another misconception. It's not about stealing from rich people.
We being the white British, they came.
It's about everything being fair and equal.
Basically, and encourage them so that they can grow to be successful people. However, when they become too successful, that's when the tall poppy syndrome kicks in.
Yeah, we want to cut them down.
So I feel that it's actually quite sad that happens.
It's kind of sad. See, these guys don't understand it. They've Googled it, they looked at the definition, but they don't understand the mindset, which I tried to explain to you guys at the very beginning of the video. A lot of people that actually live here don't understand it.
Well, of Australian society, yeah.
yeah, it's a sad part of Australian society. So that he's having a go at Australia's fundamental. This is so important to Australia's culture, is tall poppy syndrome, and these guys don't understand it.
You know, we've got a lot of diversity here in Australia. We've got a
lot of diversity, lot of external influences. This Mauritius guy's quite smart.
You know, the world is something like 280 plus countries, and in Melbourne alone, there's like, I think, representatives from 200 of those countries.
Melbourne alone has so many different. So many different.
Yeah, that's right. 6 times running.
I love how they own Melbourne. They love Melbourne. I like that. I like the fact, because some people come to Australia and they don't respect Australia and they don't see themselves as Australian and they don't care. These guys clearly care about Australia.
I grew up with the whole, mentality of get good grades, study hard.
I can understand why this guy got the mentality of having good grades, go to university, because his parents worked so hard. I've got to stop it right there, because there's so many points to be made here. His parents worked so hard to give him the qualifications and the education and the lifestyle that he has today. So they're like, please, we've built the foundation for you, brought you to a rich country, we've worked our asses off to give you the lifestyle you have now. Please, go to university. Get a proper education. This was our dream as children, and we want to give it to you as our son. And in a way, it seems like he's throwing it in their face. In my opinion, he's throwing it in his face.
People around me, my friends, they're actually concerned for my well-being.
They're probably concerned for your well-being because you're a bad entrepreneur.
And I believe that this is really a facet.
It's not a facet of tall poppy syndrome. It's you're a bad businessman and they want you to, you've been given all of this privilege
and become a tall poppy, and they're essentially unconsciously, subconsciously cutting me off.
Unconsciously or subconsciously, whatever. Come on dude, be realistic. Like, if you're one of the richest people in Australia and people trying to take you down, these people are actually concerned about your well-being.
We would be born of migrant parents, and I feel that our thinking has changed. And especially for me personally,
born of migrant parents, thinking has changed a little bit. I agree with that.
Someone who's really taking ownership of their lives, becoming a business owner, an entrepreneur.
Yeah, really, this is it. People are really, they support successful people here in Australia.
I celebrate that success.
They celebrate the success. Look, the Mauritius guy gets it a little bit more. To come here, they work so hard and they're proper tough human beings. They come here, they work so hard and they want to provide their children with the best lives they can. And these children, they're sometimes spoiled. Let's be a little bit realistic here. This is something this is why I respect immigrant parents, because they work so hard to get here, and when they come here they just built this society. This society is built off immigrants. These guys clearly like Australia, they clearly own Australia, they're supportive of Australia. I love that, but they need to really get down to the roots of what Australia is to understand the culture, and they just don't get it. And I'm worried that a lot of the next generation from immigrant parents, they just don't get it enough. And tall poppy syndrome is one of those things that we need to protect here, because it is so integral to our egalitarian fair society. Okay, now I had to react to this video because I saw so much misinformation about tall poppy syndrome and the Australian mindset, the core reason why we have tall poppy syndrome is so important to the egalitarian society we have. Anyway, if you know someone who's a first generation Australian and they just don't get it, send them this video, because I think we need to spread the word of why Australia is so fair and free and wealthy today. And it is because one of the many, there's many other reasons, but this is one of the very important ones. Share it with somebody in Australia today so that they can understand the real mindset of Australians, because a lot of people are not getting it. They need to get it. Share this video. Leave me a comment if you actually like this type of video, but this was more for me than you, sorry. I created an ebook. Download the ebook if you like, How to Overcome Adversity, top link in the description, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Don't let fear stop ya.
They call him Dave Fwee, but his name is Dave Lee, posting controversial videos on the daily, answering all the questions that people want to know, using backdrops of Sydney in every video.
Racist are you king to romance, now tune into Dave Lee. Don't let fear stop ya, it's clearer than your cheap vodka.